I was originally not going to make a video about the Tencent situation, because at the time that the news dropped, it was something that I didn't have much of a mind to talk about, because I was sure that others would say all that needed to be said and that my input would not be required. Also, that gave me an excuse to try and kind of pretend that it didn't happen. But over a week later, there's a degree of misinformation and sensationalization going around regarding the recent sale of the majority of Klei's shares to Tencent. As you can probably tell by the fact that you're watching this video, I've since changed my mind, as I decided that I wanted to get my opinion on the matter out there. And also, it's only so long before I start getting comments saying that I'm dead again, so I might as well shit out a video on something. First of all, the number one thing I want to say is that it's not the end of the world. Klei isn't about to up and disappear, and I think it's safe to say that from the perspective of a customer, nothing's going to happen in the immediacy, as it usually is with this sort of thing. From my perspective, there is an unnecessary amount of urgency circulating the issue, and while the situation is definitely not ideal, it's also not really cause for alarm, so you can curb your dystopian fears of a Tencentian don't starve, at least for now. There are a couple of things that I want to clarify before I get into the guts of this video. Firstly, what does it mean when the majority of a company is owned in legal terms? In this case, the majority of Klei being owned by Tencent. The majority shareholder is defined as, quote, a person or entity that owns and controls the majority of a company's shares. As a majority shareholder, a person or operating entity has a significant amount of influence over the company, end quote. Unless you're literally living under a rock, you'll know that Tencent now owns the majority of Klei Entertainment's shares, which gives them a massive amount of weight in votes and diplomatic discussions that occur within the company. However, the interesting thing to note here about Tencent's acquisition is that Klei successfully negotiated for possession of full creative control, which means that they still make all decisions to do with the company's products. So, according to Klei, Tencent holds no power over these sorts of decisions, meaning that all Klei products, past and future, are, well, still made and operated by Klei. This is obviously a great thing for the company to still possess. I think the situation would be very, very different if this was not successfully bartered for. Although, from the way the forum post announcing the news was worded, it sounds as though Klei would have been highly unlikely to sell the majority of their company without getting to keep creative control. However, since Tencent still owns the majority of the company, it would be completely feasible for them to vote out Klei entirely from their board of directors and assume total control of the company by force. Whether or not they eventually plan to do this, or something like this, is not clear, but keep this in mind. Why would a profit-oriented company such as Tencent acquire the majority of a company such as Klei, which we can assume to have been barely profitable, if profitable at all, just to accrue such and such percentage of their passive income? A passive income which, because of the sheer enormity of Tencent, likely amounts to a potentially negligible amount. For me, it would be strange for them not to have some sort of ulterior motive for Klei's future. On the contrary, they could simply have made this purchase in order to expand their reach, something that I would absolutely not put past Tencent at all, due to their aforementioned enormity. To them, buying a humble indie company is probably the video game monopoly equivalent of chump change. In any case, the least we can do is to simply observe and see what comes. There is really no use panicking over what might happen. The chances of major changes being made to Don't Starve Together or other Klei games in the near future are quite low. Again, while the situation is certainly undesirable, it really isn't the end of the world. Future prospects aside, there exists a certain irony that Klei Entertainment of all companies would make a deal with what's essentially the Satan of the video game world. For me, as a consumer of Klei's products, even though I don't think they've ever explicitly said any of this, the company has always appeared to uphold three core values: honesty, quality, and integrity. They've always been transparent about their decisions, letting us customers know why they are making decisions. In the recent Tencent deal, they've noticeably obfuscated some of the specifics of the news, but this isn't really all that surprising, as there's likely to be a non-disclosure agreement floating around. Their products have always upheld a distinct and undeniable quality, being well-planned, well-executed, and well-crafted indie games, some of which could even be considered cult classics of the gaming world. Their quality has not been sacrificed either, because, as stated before, it's unlikely that any major changes will be made to their games in the near future, if at all. But I definitely feel as though they've sacrificed a portion of their integrity in this sale. A quote from the CEO of Tencent is a decent summarization of their values as a company. Ideas are not important in China, execution is. I feel that there exists a certain irony in a company with such strong core values and such a strong catalogue of products as Klei to sell out to a company whose CEO is literally quoted as saying that ideas are not important. And that's the saddest part about all of this to me. I've been an avid consumer of Klei's products for a few years now, and to see them become just another part of Tencent's plan for ultimate games industry domination is nothing short of depressing. I think that as players, all we can really do is enjoy Klei's products as they are, and hope that they can continue to make great new ones and upkeep existing ones with Tencent support. Now is definitely a good time to have faith in Klei as business people and hope that they have made the right decision for their company's future. I've purposefully kept this video short. If you want to ask me anything else, please leave a comment and I will reply. I definitely want to keep the discussion going beyond the video. Also, please try to form your opinion on the matter from things that a multitude of people have said. Please don't just take one source and treat it as gospel, especially because a lot of this situation is conjecture. Also, try and be respectful of others' opinions. Like I just said, a lot of this is conjecture, a lot of it is subjective, a lot of it's speculation, so people are going to have, different thoughts on the matter, and that's fair, that's good. So listen to what other people say, respect, try and form your own opinion. Thanks for watching.